Hello guys, you are welcome to the second tutorial which is related to 6.2. In this tutorial I am going to explain you data transmission media. Right, in my previous presentation videos I have taught you signals and their properties, and the 6.2 starting video I have explained you bandwidth, latency, throughput, and etc. So if you didn't watch those things, please go to the previous videos and watch those things one by one and join with this video. Let's have a look. Right, so here I'm going to explain you what is data transmission media. So actually transmission media that is used to transmit data one place to another, because I have taught you if you want to complete some data transmission, so we have to fulfill three tasks. One is called sender and the receiver, or a source or a destination. In between source and destination we have to establish some transmission media, right? It can be wired or a wireless. Then what is data transmission media? The media is used to carry data from one place to another. That is simple explanation for it. So there is no way to send data one place to another, right? There is no way without having data transmission media, right? There are two types of data transmission media that we must know. One is called guided media. Some people call those things as wired media, right? So, and the other one is wireless. Let's see what are the differences and what are the things that we use as wired or a wireless, right? So here then when we see this diagram, here I have drawn you this diagram in order to give you some clear understanding. The transmission media, that means the connection in between source to destination, right, can be categorized into two types. It's guided, right, guided or wired, and the other one is unguided. Mainly there are two types, right, guided or unguided. Then when you talk about guided media, wired media, then we have to learn those things under three type of cables. Then one is called the twisted pair cables, right? This is so simple cable that we use to transmit baseband signals. And twisted pair can be categorized into two parts in here, unshielded and shielded, right? There are two parts. Then another thing is coaxial cable. That's the second thing. It can be categorized into two parts according to the transmission signals. There are two things: baseband signals and broadband signals. Fiber optic is different from each other because it is transmitted light waves and speed is also high, right? Let's we will learn one by one. When you talk about unguided media, there are three types of signals that we have, which is transmitted through the air. That means unguided one. No transmission media in here, so transmitted data through the air. But in here we had the physical connection, right? So radio waves, microwaves, and infrared we have to learn, and we have to understand some similarities. Other than the disadvantages and advantages we have to learn. Let's move to the next slide. Right, so what is the difference between wired and wireless? You know, it's guided and unguided, right? Guided media uses physical path, I mean physical connection, right? If it is a guided or a wired one, then there's a physical path. But if it is a unguided one, right, no physical path, broadcast the signal through the air. That is very popular. Write some example for guided media. There are three type of examples I have shown you in my previous diagram, and they are twisted pair cable. Twisted pair can be categorized into two parts called UTP or unshielded twisted pair, and the STP, that means shielded twisted pair. And the second one is coaxial cable, and the third one is fiber optic cables, right? So let's learn one by one. So, twisted pair. Why we use twisted pair? Actually, this type of cables are used for short distance data transmission. Why do I say so? Twisted pair is consisted of a copper wire with a plastic cover. There are 4 couple of wires you can see if you want to looking at the twisted pair cables, right? And there are some features. Signal cannot travel long distance. Actually, signal you cannot travel signals more than 100 meters. If you exceed the limit, you have to establish some repeater or something. Repeaters are used, that's why. So bandwidth is also low. Then I have told you what is bandwidth in my previous video. If you didn't have such idea, go to that video and join with me, right? Join with this video. And low cost. Actually, production cost is low. Cannot use for broadband connection. That means you cannot transmit broadband signals. That means long distance transmission signals. Only for baseband signals, digital signals, right? So attenuation is occur. I have explained you what is attenuation. If you exceed the 100 meter using twisted pair cable, attenuation is occur. That means your signal shapes it has destroyed. High error generated, right? So then here this type of cable, and we can call this cable because it is UTP. Then I'll tell why. In here you can see one couple of wires, second couple of wire, and third one, and the fourth one. Then total how many wires are there? 8 wires are there. This is called UTP or unshielded twisted pair. Then this is the first or image A. Then let's see image B. Here we have the same thing, right? One couple of wires, 2, 3, 4. Then 8 wires are there. But in here you can see very special thing. There are some metallic braid or a cover is here. That's why we can say this type of twisted pair cables as shielded twisted pair, right? There are some reasons. Let's compare these 2 cables together. Here, looking at this table, then UTP and STP is here. Then we can understand UTP or unshielded twisted pair cables we used with wireless. It's not wireless, wired telephone connections. But STP is specially used with Ethernet networks, right? In UTP cables, no electromagnetic shielding around the wire. We saw it. But STP, we saw the couple of wires with a metallic braid. It's lead and cheap, the comparatively expensive than UTP. UTP cables are better to use short distance data transmission. The same STP also the use for the short distance data transmission. Actually maximally 100 meters only. Right, I think you understood this one. Next we are going to talk about coaxial cable. It is very special cable compared with the twisted pair. This is very good. Right, in here we have it's a copper wire, right, in here, and around it there are some insulation and copper mesh is there. After that outside insulation is there, right? This is very important cable. And let's see what are the features and what are the things that we must know about coaxial cables. In this type of cables are used for external networks. It's not internal. External networks are used. But twisted pair, those are used with internal telephone networks, such as your router with your router, RJ45 cable, right? So the bandwidth is 100 Mbps, right? It's a bandwidth. Comparatively, it's higher than the twisted pair. And there are 2 types. One is called thinned, right? its transmission distance is 185, and the other one, thicket, its transmitted distance about 500 meters. If you want to buy these type of cables, then you have two type of cables in the market, right? So let's see what is the connector that is used to connect this type of cables, that is called BNC connectors, right? Then you can see this image. This is the shape of the BNC connector, right? Then let's see what are the advantages of coaxial cable. Can be used for both analog and digital signals, right? So this type of cables used for analog and digital signals, right? I think you know these are called digital signals and these are called analog signals, right? These type of cables are transmitted both analog and digital signals, right? So excellent cable for noise immunity. I have explained you many type of noise such as induced noise, construct noise, like that, right? This is more suitable for a noise immunity, right? If you use this type of cables, we can minimize the affection of noise, right? So able to transmit signals long distance. Comparatively twisted pair, we have maximum 100 meters. But for this one here, you can transmit signals for a long distance at a high speed. Easy to install and maintain. Easy to install means you can fix these type of cables for a BNC jacks and connectors in your home using your simple instrument. So disadvantages are there. Important to remember. Not compatible with twisted pair cables, because in there we had 4 couple of wires, that means totally 8 wires we had. That's why this is not compatible with twisted pair cables. That is important to remember. Expensive than twisted pair. Actually these type of cables are expensive than twisted pair, right? So let's see what is fiber optics, right? So when we talk about fiber optics, important to know, think this is the fiber optic cable. In here, in our previous cables, we transmitted electronic waves, but in here we are transmitting what? It's light waves. It's light waves, right? Like this, right? That's why speed is so high. Speed is so high. Transmitted data or a transmitted signal is converted as light wave, right? So plastic threads or a thin glass used to transmit data using light waves. I'll show you what is plastic thread. LEDs or a laser diodes emit light waves, a source which is detected by a detector at the receiver's end. It is converted as readable format. Coaxial glass tube, and there is a glass cladding around it. Then you can see this image. This is called cowl. It is also a glass tube. There's a glass cladding around it, right? Another covers are there. The outer jacket is there. That's for the protection of cable, right? This is the fastest data transmission media in the world. Lot of benefits are there, right? So let's see what are the advantages of fiber optics. Then one, immune to electromagnetic interference, right? Just stop it. The second one, the bandwidth is high, comparatively higher than the other 2 type of cables. So that is a very big advantage for us, because we can understand if we have high bandwidth, our data speed is good. That's suitable for industrial and noisy area. It is not mixed with noise because it is light waves. Data is transmitted long distance without weakening, right? Distance, it doesn't matter, then we can transmit the data. No attenuation part is there. External electrical signals are not affected for transmitting data because electrical signal is not affected for the light waves. So let's see what are the disadvantages. The manufacturing or production cost for these type of cables are high. That's why expensive cables. and complex technology is used to produce these type of glass claddings with the fiber optics. Right? The frequencies, then you have to do the transmission for the board direction at the time, that is called full duplex transmission. If you want to do the full duplex transmission by using fiber optics, then you have to use two frequencies, otherwise it is not occurred. That's why that is also the disadvantage. Right, let's move to the unguided media. I think my guided media parts clear for you. If you have any doubts, please comment on my channel, then I'll help you to understand those concepts properly. Then this is called unguided media, or a free space, or a data is being transmitted through the air. Right? So waves are freely transmitted through the air or atmosphere without using wires, and that is called unguided. There are few types we have to learn. So radio waves or radio signals. The second one, it's microwaves, and the third one, satellite. It's another communication, infrared, and we will learn one by one. So what is radio waves? Radio waves, these waves are used to carry information from one location to another actually. That is the happen for all the data transmission media. Radio waves are used electromagnetic and based and propagated by antenna. If you want to capture radio waves, we have to use some type of antenna. That is so simple. Different frequencies are there. There are two types mainly, VHF, very high frequency, and the second one, UHF, ultra high frequency. These are the examples for it. Television waves or radio waves. Wireless telephones, walkie-talkie, the personal radio channels are used. Signals are created low frequencies and long wavelength. Frequency means circles per second, it's low, but wavelength is high. That's why you can transmit signals for a long distance with a long wavelength, right? Long wavelength, 100 meters as example, or 1,000 meters, right? So the radio waves, right? Then what is microwaves? Radio waves, it's transmitted for a long distance without having any barrier, easy to generate those things. But microwaves, not like that. This is an electromagnetic wave. Like I mentioned as radio waves, this is also electromagnetic waves. But frequencies between 0.0012 to 0.3 meters, right? It's another thing. So wavelength is smaller than radio waves. Actually, wavelength is smaller than radio waves, but longer than UV rays, right? So can be used to transmit signals over large distance. Large distance, 3,000 kilometers, more than 3,000 kilometers. We can transmit the data. But case is, you have to establish transmitter, sender and receiver should be in line of sight. I'll draw some picture here. You can get some idea. This is your home and you have a satellite for your television, but this is another one, right? So which is sending you the microwaves as line of sight. Line of sight. If you put or any barrier, then you will lost your signals, you cannot watch your television. So transmitter and receiver should be in line of sight. Then usage, it's satellite and mobile phone communication, the second part, right? So features about microwaves, important to remember these features. Passes through glass, plastic and atmosphere, no problem. But they reflected by metal surface. That's why the plate of the satellite is produced using what? Metal. It is reflected. They heat materials. That's why microwave ovens are produced to make food. If they can make atoms or molecules in the material vibration. right? The transmission is affected by wave effects such as reflection, right? Because of the reflection and refraction and diffraction and interference, it is affected for the signal. They are absorbed by water molecules. That's why, right? So when you are watching your television, right? There are so many rainy clouds in the sky. So it is covered by those. Water molecules are absorbed them. That's why our signal strength will be less. And passes through Einspire without being reflected. Right, and this is so simple. So infrared is another signal that is used with the remote controls, light waves with low frequency. Then you use small batteries for remotes. You can see it's live waves there. Can be used in transmission of data. Waves are used to transmit of data. Wireless keyboards, mouse, remotes are the best example for it. And advantages of using unguided media. What are the advantages? And ability to connect anywhere. It's no problem. We don't want any wire or something. It is popular. Relevant network can easily be accessed. When you are going on the road, when you are going on the bus, you can watch many things using internet because that is wireless. Disadvantages are there. Security issues are there. Availability of security issues because any person who can connect to your network without ensuring you, without informing you, right? It is be careful. Illegal accessing ability is higher than wired, right? When you talk about wired connections, illegal accessing ability is less there, but wireless it is high. Disturbances are there. So many outside noise and other signals. It is disturbs for the original signals, original data values. That's why we can say disturbances are there. Thank you very much. If you are watching this video, please join my 6.3 video. Have a nice day.